looking at a young black king.
Astro project, blast of a tech, pass your neck with the shit to leave a rapper erect from the back of a black Acura. Bullet ricocheted and it's weighted and it passed through your pecs. The assassin wet. All y'all know y'all don't have to go. Sawed off shoddy, make you potty, probably call the law. Me no gangster, I'm no tough, got me child of the most high. I get on the mic and you go, bye bye. Devil don't test me, I throw shrapnel where your chest be. Shooting our family down in the streets. Fuck the police, they ain't marching for me. Pull up, not that Rari, I ain't bad yet. I pull up out that 85% of mass at. I put this on God, bad black is so hard. Bitch, I'm going back to Harlem in my West African garb.
Very early in the morning, because of the heat, a few Portuguese seamen on the decks of a half a dozen 100-ton caravels, the new sailing ships, were preparing on August the 8th in 1444 to land their African cargo near Lagos on the southwestern point of the Algarve in Portugal. This cargo consisted of 235 slaves. On arrival on the mainland, these people were placed in a field. They seemed, as contemporary put it, a marvelous sight, for amongst them were some white enough, fair enough, and well proportioned. Others were less white, like mulattoes. Others again were as black as Ethiops, and so ugly, both in their features and their bodies, almost to appear the images of the lower hemisphere. With the heart could be so hard, this contemporary chronicle, Gomez Inez Zarora, a courtier attached to the brother of the king of the Portugal, the inventive Prince Henry, asked himself, as not to be the pierced with piteous feeling to see that company, for some kept their heads low and their faces bathed in their tears, looking one upon another. Others stood groaning and very delusional, looking up to the height of heaven, fixing their eyes upon it, crying out loudly, as if asking help from the Father of nature. Others struck their faces with their palms on their hands, throwing themselves at the full length upon the ground, while others made lamentations in the manner of dirge after custom of their country. But to increase their suffering still more, the writer continued, there now arrived those who had charged of the division of the captives. And then it was needful to part fathers from sons, husbands from wives, brothers from brothers. No respect was shown to either friends or relations, but each fell with his lot took him. Zarora then permitted himself as a prayer in the fashion of Goddess Fortune, Almighty Fortune, who they will dust and undust, compassing the matters of the world as a pleasant thee, though thou at least put before their eyes at the miserable race some understanding of matters to come, that the captives may receive some consolation in the midst of their great sorrow. The arrival of the collection of Africans was a novelty which many came to observe. Among the Prince Henry, the Chronicle Zora's hero, he watched impassive from the horse, and himself received 46 of those slaves present, the royal filth. He gave thanks that he was saving so many new souls for God. Most of the captives who were on this day the censor of all eyes of Azagani, normally known as the Berbers or the Sahanja of Izanging, from what today is known as southern part of the modern state of the Sahara or the northern part of Mauritania. These people later seemed to be Venetian adventurer Cadamasto, who would visit them in their own land, tawny, squat, and miserable, in comparison with the blacks from the farther south, who were well-built, noble-looking men. Yet the Azanagi, I'm saying the name wrong right now, but whatever. Well, one of the most important families of the Ville Tuaregs, a tribe who had generations been traditional raiders of the Timbuktu and other settlements in the Middle Niger. Arab geographers placed them as the living near a gleaming mountain and a city of brass, separate from the unknown land of the blacks in the south of the Sea of the Sand, were very soft to tread, in which man and camel may sink. They had adopted Islam in the 11th century, but had known remarkable little about the faith till an inflammatory teacher, Ibn Yassin, A Muslim Berber from the University of Tanzania preached to them and captured their imaginations with the astute fundamentalist message, which promised through barbarity and sectarianism an eventual end to all fighting and disunion. So began the ruthless Almoravid movement, which in the beginning caused widespread destruction. For in the service of unimpeachable ideas, the ancestors, or at least the collateral ancestors of the humble captives in Portugal in 1444, had zealots, all dressed in skins and riding camels, swept through the Moroccan and the Iberian Peninsula, and for a time ruled an empire which stretched from the rivers of Niger to Senegal and Africa to Ebro in Spain. Yacin's heritage, or Rabbit, the Almoravids, were the people of the Rabat. In his years of struggle, was not far from the same Argan whence the slaves of 1444 were stolen. It is thus possible that some of the Portuguese concerns to guard the new arrivals were also a result of the rape and the seduction 300 years before their distinct relations. Zor describes how in the 15th century, the Nzanga often made war on the blacks using more ruse than force. He just misspelled this in his book. Because not all the vigorous of the captives. The remark shows that the slaves brought to Algarve were so many colors. Those captured by the Portuguese raiders included men and women who had already been enslaved. And now, if the chronicles comment about white and black slaves is accurate, the captives would have also included some of the people who were bought in markets and the ambiguous Muslim salesmen. Most of the captives of 1444 had been taken by Portuguese in villages. The Portuguese, shouting out St. James, St. George, and Portugal, at once attacked them, killing and taking all they could. Then might you see mothers forsaking their children and husbands their wives and striving to escape it the best they could. Some drowned themselves in water, others thought to escape and hiding under their huts. Others stole their children among the seaweed, where our men found them afterwards. The leader of the Portuguese in this expedition was Lacanarot de Freitas. We're just going to call him Freitas. He was a successful young official previously engaged in collecting taxes, but now captain of a newly formed company of trade to Africa, established at Lagos, the town where de Freitas had been an official, for the service of God and the infantry of Henry. De Freitas was known as a man of great good sense, who had been brought up in a large interest in household of Prince Henry. The seizure of slaves rather than their purchase was the frequent practice in both Europe and Africa. These razzias, as the odious practice of man-stealing was known, were carried out throughout the Middle Ages in Spain and Africa by Muslim merchants, and their Christian equivalents had done the same. I'm going to run that back to you again because this information is important to know this. You've heard me mention this on a previous show if you watch Kofi Paisai TV during the Nzinga series. I said the razzias, they practiced this form of razzias, man-stealing. That's what they know it as, man-stealing. It was carried out through the Middle Ages in Spain and Africa by Muslim merchants. This is key in the whole argument of how people are claiming that the Africans were selling other Africans, and how all these other things that were transpiring at the time is never put in the proper context. So when the Razzies are mentioned, these people were Muslim merchants. Muslims were justified by the Quran in seizing Christians and enslaving them, and the Christians in their long drawn out reconquest of Muslim Spain had conducted themselves similarly. This voyage of the Freitas was the first serious commercial venture by the Portuguese, who business leaders, as a result, became convinced of the benefits of such expeditions as they had previously been skeptical. The merchants of Lisbon had been hoping for gold from West Africa. In return, they got some bodies that they kidnapped from the continent. They had found some, but slaves were in more ample supply. Prince Henry was not displeased. The money which he had obtained by selling his share of the slaves could be used to finance further endeavors, including journeys of pure discovery. The chronicler Zorora probably thought that the captives owed their fate to the sins of their supposed ancestor Ham, cursed by his father Noah after seeing him naked and drunk. It was both a Christian and Muslim tradition to suppose that the descendants of Ham had been turned black. Zorora may also have been influenced by the work of 2 centuries of Colonna, who had written that if people did not have laws and if they did not live peacefully under a government, that they were more beast than human, and therefore could be legally enslaved. No doubt Zorora would have considered that the Africans brought to Portugal in 1444, whatever their origin, was just as such. If you're just joining me, what I basically just read was a summation of the first 256 kidnapped Africans sent to Portugal. And I also made mention of the Razes. I'm bringing this to you to say this. If we don't provide historical context, the conversation becomes muddy and people will lose sight on what's actually being gossiped about. See, the Razes practiced a behavior that was already known to them, or known among them in Europe and then in Africa, because it was practiced by Muslim merchants. So when you bring up the Akan, who were Razes, they were practicing something that was taught to them or learned and this stuff had already occurred before then. See, I was arguing with Uncle a moment ago, and I guess when you only having conversations with the same people over and over, and y'all arguing about the same other things, and there's no other intellectual person among you in the conversation, you take to the kind of information, I'm not going to say ignorance, but you take to the kind of information of your peers. I know that it's virology hour. Yeah, I already know. But that's what happened. So I'm going to go back to the intro video that I did on Nzinga, and I'm going to read something very important, because the argument that I'm having with Unc now is on page 12 of the book, and also the sources and all of that. So he was saying there was a slave market already before the Portuguese came. And I said, no, it wasn't. He said, yeah, well, they were already enslaving people. And I'm saying, no, it wasn't. And he's saying, yes, it was. And I'm over here and I'm like, no, go look at the people, bro. They're not trading anybody anywhere. What's happened is an economy had been set up around them, and they're partaking in the economical change. Whether the Portuguese are directly in Angola or not, there is an economy out there. There you go. But you said it though. You said through Islam. Yeah, there's already an economic shift. Natural resources are no longer needed. They didn't need just salt. The Congo had salt, they had rubber, but rubber would be later on a resource, but Leopold would take hold of. They didn't need anything from the Congo. You saying they were? I'm telling you that they wasn't. Where the evidence at? I think people are misunderstanding me when I say that they wasn't. doing certain things. What I'm telling you is that if the Portuguese wasn't on a continent, was there a slave market? Listen to what I'm asking. If the Portuguese were not on the continent of Africa, was there a slave market? If the Muslims were not on the continent of Africa, would there have been a slave market? He's saying that there was a slave market there before the arrival of the Portuguese. Muslims was already conducting raids throughout the continent because they were spreading Islam. This is the part of the history that nobody's really talking about. So if you go look at the spread of Islam, right? Some kind of weird way is never down there in the Christian in the area of the Congo per se. So you mean to tell me that Islam never got to the center? So I'm just waiting. Oh, okay. Yeah. Taharka. No. We're not really disagreeing. We're not disagreeing. We're not disagreeing. Rasta says, so is it inconceivable that the Muslims had slave markets? Now, Rasta, I'm with you with where you ask. I like the way that you posed your question because that could be the only emphasis of that. Like if you take them out of the continent, they don't know anything about other people. They're not, I mean, the people below the Sahara, they're not trading in natural resources with, they're not doing any type of Mediterranean trade. So Islam in the Republic Congo. Islam spread in the Republic Congo in from North Africa in the mid 19th century. The Muslim community in the country is estimated at 1.3% of the population. So it gets there, but it arrives there late. Well, I can't say that because there's not really a lot of evidence, and this goes back to my point. There's not a lot of evidence about Islam in the Congo. It's never been really looked at from a historical point that people have argued or investigated. When we deal with the archaeology, when we deal with the archaeology of Islam, it goes east, northwest. I don't think anyone concentrated predominantly on central or south. Rasta, I agree. Mm-mm. Which Africans was involved in Mediterranean trade? When you say Rasta, no, I agree with you, Rasta. Don't think that I'm not saying that. See, the other day when I defined slavery, I didn't take slavery away. I said slavery existed. The word the definition is misconstrued because it's generalized. I would never say that there was not slavery because it was. But what form of slavery existed on the continent? I explained that in that video that I did. And absolutely, through prisoners of war all day long, captives, they beefed. They beefed with one another. So they were tribal people. So for us to assume that there was no form of enslavement would be bullcrap. They literally were tribal. They were fighting amongst one another. And in return, the prize was the captives. That was the negotiation tactic there. That was that. But remember, when they used to beef with one another, it was the elders who settled all the disputes. If we're speaking, let me not generalize the whole continent that way. Let me say, specifically speaking, let's say like in Nigeria, for instance, along those borders near the Niger. Let's just say that let's say the Hausa and the Fulani were beefing, right? The Hausa and the Fulani beefing. Who would settle the dispute? Because it would get to a degree of the beef between the two that, and when bondage or captive took place, the elders would set the record straight. This would be seen throughout its early inception of how the political movement in pre-Islamic Africa existed among numerous states. I just don't, and to Harker about the whole thing, I don't actually see that. He says, I see the nuances in the meaning of slave markets. Great point. Okay, okay. But see, what I'm saying is, and I asked Unc this. I said, define a slave market, Unc. Because when you hear the word market, right? When you look up the word market, you're thinking about natural resources being in the market fair. Remember, the markets were great for everything. So you mean to tell me that they were bringing in these people and putting them up on bricks and saying, hey, I got this nice, prime, thick, young Fulani woman with long black hair, silky smooth skin, buttocks for lips. We want 3 shillings, 18 cowrie shells, a goat, and 5 chickens. Do you seriously think that was transpiring there? People are comparing how slavery was here in the Americas to how it could be seen on the continent of Africa. It was totally different. See, when I just read what I read about Zoroastri's account of the first 256 slaves that actually ended up in Lisbon, he specifically said they came off the boat into a market where they would lay on the ground and then they were cleaned off and stood up and they were ready for sale. So people would come and bid on these people. So are you saying that was taking place on the continent of Africa before Europeans and Arabs? Rasta said, no, I don't believe it was like that, at least not before the Arabs. Right, Rasta. What I'm saying is, man, me and you beefing. Our tribes are beefing with each other. We fighting, but you win this fight. You see some of my people. What happened to my people? You see what I'm saying? I can tell you what happened to my people. They assimilated into your culture. They became a part of your traditions and customs, and they were seen as a slave in your society. However, they had the ability to come up in your society and govern and be part of your political agenda and work among the people, till the land, and have their own life. They just constituted part of the slave caste. Remember when I defined that the other day, I gave a clear example of that. But that's what happened. But at what point would the influence of selling these people become what it was? That was never the case. When you owe debt or a favor to someone, you would give up your niece or nephew, for instance. I gave an example of that. Remember, I talked about specifically the tongue nab. I specifically talked about the tongue nab, and I said the tongue nab. There was an incident in Ghana where this uncle gave up his nephew to a neighbor. He owed a debt. He needed to feed the family, so he gave up his nephew. He got a goat, some chickens, and things like that. He worked them into fruition to grow more, more resources for his family to feed off of. And by the time he had earned the money to pay dude back, the dude he got the goats and chickens from sold off his nephew. So he came back to get his nephew. But his nephew was sold. Things like that happened throughout the continent during the transatlantic slave trade, though. See, this thing isn't in proper context. It's arguing for so many different points that can't nobody really hear anything. And then I'm not going to listen to noise and then get blamed. Somebody blame me, and I'm talking to you, blame me talking about you being emotional. No, I'm not. I'm not being emotional. I asked you for context. I asked all y'all for context. Y'all claim to be pseudo killers. Where's your sources? You said you started Wiki, but end in the journals. Has that happened yet? I seen y'all start on Wiki talking about African slavery. I seen y'all start on Wiki talking about Queen Nzinga, but y'all never ended in any academic journal. So I'm confused. And then y'all, oh, Sean, but Sean he don't even want to hear what you got to say. No, why? You ain't even showing no proper research methodology. Why I gotta listen to it? You're gonna confuse the hell out of me. You said start in the journal. You said start at Wiki, end in a journal. Ain't none of y'all demonstrated that. So now you mad because I'm calling it out and I'm showing you how stupid y'all sound, and then I'm the problem. No, you being emotional. No, nigga, you being emotional. How am I being emotional? When you supposed to have a better tactical strategy than what you've imposed. I don't care if you've been killing them on the channel. I'm not watching it. I don't care. It's none of my thing. Like I said, I care not to participate in anything y'all got going on over there. But if you need me in the street or we see each other and want to go out to eat, we can do all of that. I ain't gonna have no problem. If we in the same place, same building, I ain't got no beef. It ain't that serious. I'm just not getting involved in the ignorance. I'm protecting my sanity. So don't get mad when you're not starting at Wiki and ending in the journal and it's called out. Or don't get mad when you ask all your audience members to source up or shut up, and then when y'all are asked to source up or shut up, none of y'all, none, zero, none of y'all source up. None. Only Uncle's over there arguing with everybody like a crazy bat out of hell man that he is about this whole thing. But on page 12 and 13 of the written literature regarding Ndongo and a slave market, it says it here. But what I'm saying is this market is controlled by an economy that is outside their influence. Why would they be trading bodies among themselves? They weren't trading bodies among themselves. Unc said, well, no, they were selling them to enslavers. Do the Ndongo at this time know that the Portuguese is buying slaves off the coast of West Africa? So when they coming down to the Congo and they picking up these slaves, they think that that's what's actually taking place? Do you think that the Congo knew that these people that they had trade relationships with, that said, nah, we don't need the resources, we need bodies, and they say, okay, well, I just give you these people. Do you really think that they knew what was happening to those people early on in this onset? The Congo didn't even know anything about a new world. Ain't no damn cell phones or internet going on around there. You ain't even looking at 1,400 sources on the Congo. Everything is written on the Congo regarding Nzinga is in the the mid 1500s. We talking 1550, 1560. That's what we talking about. 1575. The earliest account that we have regarding anything about King Alfonso and Christianity and all of that crap is in 1509. That's the earliest onset of what we start getting about what was taking place. There's another early account saying something about in 1483, almost exactly a century before Nzinga's birth, the first Europeans arrived in Central Africa. I'm gonna say this one more time. I'm gonna say it one more time. In 1483, Unc, because I know you driving and you listening. And you can't give me the page numbers because I'm sitting here and I told you I got the book in front of me, Unc. I'm gonna give you all the information you're looking for. I'm not gonna deny the information, but you said wasn't no damn Europeans. It came out of your face. You said wasn't no Portuguese in the Congo, Unc. On our phone call, you sitting there listening to them fools, and you got duped again. In 14, setting the scene. In 1483, almost exactly a century before Nzinga's birth, the first Europeans arrived in Central Africa. At the time, the largest kingdom in the region was Congo, covering 33,000 square miles. Ankh, in 1483, almost exactly a century before Nzinga's birth, the first Europeans arrived in Central Africa. Don't be influenced. Don't 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 be influenced. Don't be influenced. All of this is about the Portuguese. Who you think? Which Europeans do you think entered the Congo first? Do you think it was other Europeans, or do you think it was the Portuguese that entered in 1483? Hmm? I'm texting Unc and I'm talking crazy to you live on the air. What they said, bro? In 1483, almost exactly a century before Nzinga's birth, the first Europeans arrived in Central Africa. You just told me on the phone, bro, that they had a slave market and a slave trade amongst Africans before the Portuguese arrived. So if they had a slave market and a slave trade before the Portuguese arrived, how the heck? So that would mean right? That would mean that this the slave market and the slave trade was happening before 1483. So now I need a source before 1483 showing the Portuguese. I mean, showing not the Portuguese, a slave market and a slave trade. Job on, I know that, bro, but my short-handed friends don't read all the information. I need that. Don't ignore my text, Unc. Talking about you need peace. Don't ignore my text. I know you listening, Unc. You see me texting you. Why you ain't responding, Unc? So why y'all can sit there and talk about me in the back all quiet, you know what I'm saying? Like little mice. Y'all quiet in the back, don't want to say on, you know what I mean? In y'all little groups or whatever. I don't have to this is why I don't have to listen to certain people. I don't, because ain't nobody gonna actually do the work, bruh. Come on now. It's different if you gonna do the work. But if only one side of the argument is doing the work and the other side is trying to bullet point people to try to prove a point or try to argue points, what sense does it make? What sense does it make? Like I told you, why are you still arguing with everybody about Nzinga when everybody ain't willing to do the work? When they automatically came out and said, nah, we ain't gonna do no writing or we ain't gonna do this, at least you can promote, and then you claim to be scientific, at least you can promote proper research methodology. Well, we got the Arab books. We got the earliest texts. But I agree, Taharka. We would have to, that's what I'm saying. We would have to be extensive there. But are we willing to go so far as to say that there were slave markets and slave trades before Europeans and Arabs on the continent of Africa? Because that is what the argument was. Yeah, hold on. Here you go. Yeah. Where my evidence at? No, I ain't messing up no history. The Portuguese was in the Congo in 1483. Where's that? Where your information at? I don't need to go to 39, Unc. The Portuguese is in the Congo in 1483. Hold on.
Overtime me, yo. Overtime everybody else, yo. I ain't going for it. So you gotta go to page 3 in the introduction, yo. No, go to page 4 in the introduction. Is you there yet?
I don't need to go to 4.
Yeah, you do. You sure as fuck do.
Okay. Since you want to go to 4, then that means you need to go to 3. And on page 3, you need to read that second paragraph where it says in 1483. In 1483.
We talking about 1483, yo. We talking about 1483. We talking about the Congo right now. Hey, bro, we talking about the Congo.
Right. I'm telling you.
So let me read it.
Go to 3. Go to 3, Go to 3. Read it from 3. Why you skipping 3? Why you skipping the bottom of 3? You got to read the bottom of 3 because it goes into 4, We need context. No, they not. No, they talking about in Congo, bro. They talking about that.
That ain't got nothing to do with the Zinga's kingdom, bro.
No, you said that there was slave markets and a slave trade before the.
I ain't get there yet, yo. You didn't do the
No. You see, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not. Does 1483 come before 1560? Does 1483 come before 1560? Yes or no?
Of course.
Okay, so in 1483, almost exactly a century before Nzinga's birth, the first Europeans arrived in Central Africa. This is what I'm talking about. Central Africa. At the time, the largest kingdom in the region was Congo. So you telling me that you don't want to read that shows that you're missing the context. I'm telling you.
I'm saying you're wrong. And you're just going to be wrong because you're over talking to everybody.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. Well, I'll be wrong then.
Yeah, you're wrong, and you don't gotta be wrong.
I'll be no. I'm gonna be wrong because in 1483 the Portuguese arrived in the Congo.
No, they don't, yo. Okay, no, it says right here. It says in 1483, almost exactly a century before the Zinga birth, it says the first FIRST Europeans arrived in Central Africa. Did you not hear that?
Did you not hear me say that twice?
Okay, so if you turn the page, go down to the bottom of the page, right?
I done read the book 3 times, bro. 3.
Obviously not.
if the Portuguese, if
Yo,
the
yo, you acting like them niggas now.
no,
Both y'all
I'm
wrong.
not. Okay, well,
Both y'all
okay,
wrong. I'm gonna tell you
okay.
right now, both y'all wrong.
I don't have to use just this source.
No, both y'all wrong, yo. Y'all, I read
Okay,
this book.
okay.
And you tell us
I have more than just this book to provide my actual position on the Portuguese in the Congo before then.
Yo, why is it that I can't talk? Yo, you doing what they do is y'all both emotional guys.
No, see now I'm emotional.
You answer because you won't let me make my point. I'm going to take you to a page where you can read it and calm down. Some shit you just gonna have to just listen, yo. God damn, Sean. Damn, I got you, yo. You're doing a great job, bro, but not at all. Look, it said Congo gained additional power as a result of the relationship its kings developed with the Portuguese. It said who first survived in the Congo coastal province in Soyo in 1483. So they wasn't in the poverty. I don't care where they was at. We all know in the 14th time they was trading, yo, but they wasn't no power in the area to make nobody do nothing. Stop making the Africans weak. They didn't run in that bitch with power, bro. That's not what happened, Sean. And you can't paint it that way. The Congo was a mighty kingdom, yo, when the niggas came. They could not usurp them niggas at all.
Whoever said that they usurped them,
Yeah, you keep saying
No.
Yo, they had slave markets.
You don't even want to listen. You don't want to listen.
I'm finished talking, Sean. You gotta let me finish. So I'm showing you right here, right? That in 1491, King Zana and the central leadership of the Congo had converted to Catholicism and implemented policies to transform the kingdom into the chief Catholic power in the region. Man, them niggas did that. They ain't had to do that. They were some wild ass niggas, yo. On some bullshit. There's no group of motherfuckers, the Congo, you can't get them, you can't fight for them, yo. Alright, let's leave them niggas alone. I don't fuck with them niggas right there. I fuck with the singing, Congo. That's who I fuck with. I don't fuck with these other niggas, dog. I'm not fighting for these niggas because they played the Christian card and started enslaving niggas trying to get more money. They was some wild dudes. You can't blame them on nobody, yo. Seriously. Am I wrong, John? We don't blame them. They behave on the Europeans. I'm listening, bro.
You let me talk.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
thank.
then we get to the slave markets. Then we take you to the slave markets in the book. Well, go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this again, and I'm gonna say it slowly. All right.
Yeah, say it so.
Okay. I never said that the Portuguese ran anything. There was a market already set up for slaves that pre-existed. You go back to the early part of the 1400s where the Portuguese had made their business known what they needed when they were just capturing mofos. When they started capturing mofos and then the brokerage takes place. See, I got to take y'all all the way back to the actual.
You gotta take me back, dog, because I'm on my A game. Take them back.
You
Don't
ain't.
take me
No,
back,
no, no.
dog. Don't underestimate my quality of scholarship on this stuff. Don't do it like they did. But go ahead, Sean. I'm listening.
All right. So I have to take you back to a point in history where the Portuguese made it known that no, I don't want to trade for these resources. I actually need bodies. When they learned they learned that they can get bodies because a one person sells people out and says, well, I can get you 10 people for my release. When that transpired, he felt like the people that were in a lower caste system than him was better off to these people to serve their needs and meet their needs. So that happens.
Who was the one person, Sean?
Adahu the Moor.
Was he a black person, Sean?
Can we continue, bro? Because he's under caption. He's captured by the Portuguese. Was he not?
Okay.
Was he not?
Yes.
All right. They asses was wondering. They seen his ass. They drew down on him and took him. That's a short story.
You get Go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, really, that's how I really, okay. Like, you know,
I'm with you.
okay,
Go
all
ahead.
right. So when they take him and they broker that, they notice, aha, we might have something here.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So now I'm gonna tell you, Nunu, I'm gonna tell you what the disagreement is because we ain't got there yet. So now when they change the parameters of the trade, it became about bodies. It now is a vocal point. But do the Congo know this yet? No, they don't. So that's why I'm asking when people say that there's a slave market and a slave trade. No, hold on, but that's in the 15 somethings, where you know we're going to see these things because the damn trans-Saharan opened up airways for that. That's why this is why I'm saying the confusion. This is where I'm saying the confusion comes in at, and why I'm rejecting. No, okay. Do you Okay. Do you understand why I'm rejecting the notion that there was these things happening? There was outside influences triggering the need for bodies. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
Let me say this.
I'm not talking about the Portuguese. I'm not talking about the Portuguese. I'm not talking about the Portuguese. I am specifically saying, if you hear me closely, that there was a need for bodies before the Portuguese. Do you agree with that?
Of course, bro.
Who influenced the need for bodies before the Portuguese?
You talking about on the coast of the Congo? That's what we talking about right now, yo. I'm talking. I'm not nowhere else in Africa, yo. Don't do me like that.
No.
You can't do me like
no.
that.
Okay. No, I'm not. I'm not trying to. All right.
No, where we at? Stay where we at.
I'm staying in the Congo, but what I'm trying to tell you is that outside the Congo, was there not a market?
Outside the Congo?
Yes.
We ain't arguing outside the Congo.
No, man. I'm okay. Never mind. I'm not trying to.
No, you said outside the Congo, right? There's some influences that will cause you to go into the Congo. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
What you saying?
Were they not outside? Okay. So all right. So.
Yeah, how you don't get mad? Well,
I'm not. You just not listening. What I'm trying to say,
I want to identify the areas.
Okay. So before the first Europeans showed up in the Congo, was there already not a slave trade that was taking place?
Yeah, the Muslim slave trade. I don't know if it was around them parts though. You saying it was?
Yes, the trans-Saharan slave trade, which demanded bodies, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we have that established, then we would see markets for trade for bodies because of the influence of Arabs. Do you agree with that or no?
Yeah, okay, but then I'm gonna read this and you tell me where I'm wrong at.
I'm not gonna tell you where you're wrong at right there. I'm just trying to get you to see why I'm saying what I'm saying about this whole thing. Is because before an Arab and before a European, that you don't have no market.
Okay, yo. So can I read this, yo?
Go ahead. I read it. I read it last week, but go ahead, read it.
You ain't read it no damn last week.
It's recorded. It's recorded. It's recorded on Kofi Podside TV. It's recorded.
Okay,
yes, I did.
So if
go
you
ahead.
Read it on page 39, then why are you arguing it, yo?
Okay, I'm gonna explain it to you. I'm gonna explain it to you again.
Hold on, bro. If you read the book, the slave trade, Sean, then you're not arguing there. You like, all right, so we see the most European trade and mixed it in and broke the rules and all that old shit. Then all that shit wait, me and you ain't arguing. But I'm saying they had a market where they would smell their castles of war, bro. You can't act like that ain't what it was. They ain't need nobody to do that to smell their castles of wars and criminals. I need white people to tell me how to handle that shit. They criminals and I'm still around about my kingdom.
You still not understanding my point.
I don't understand what you're trying to
Okay.
That
So I'm trying to
African came
I try to slow it down for you again. What I am.
Hold on, Sean. I'm gonna ask you this, yo. Are you trying to stake the claim that different African kingdoms did not sell prisoners of war and motherfucking prisoners of wars, children of the prisoners of war, and criminals? You said they didn't sell them before white people came in and they trade them off.
I never said that.
So that's all I'm talking about.
No, you're not listening to me.
I'm listening to you. I'm trying to tell you what happened, and the bitch
No.
ass go in. Yo.
No, listen to what I'm saying. No, listen. I just need you to listen. Okay, I'm just trying to take you somewhere.
Take me, yo.
Okay. Before any Arab ever touched the continent, before a European ever stepped foot on the continent of Africa, was there a need for slave trading and a slave market and a slave economy? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So where is that evidence at before 700 AD?
Okay. So, Sean, was there any prisons in Africa?
You can't ask me a question. I just asked you one.
I said, yeah. I said, yeah.
Okay. So where's the evidence?
I'm about to give you the evidence. And my evidence is based off the fact that we was fighting wars before any white people came around, bro. Before any European conflict and wars. And I'm simply saying that means we would stop all prisoners of war. You had people breaking laws. That means we had criminals. We had people that we considered sex. We had those two, bro. That was part of the land. That was adopted into the kingdom. We had all that before any white people came in, yo. Before any European, we had that, Sean.
You are misunderstanding what I'm asking. Okay. So yes, you are, because you're saying things that I'm not asking you.
Yes, you are. Because
no, I'm not.
People became slaves at the end of the day, Sean, when Europeans came in, bro.
No, I'm not.
Right, so we just don't agree on that point, yo. We'll just leave it right there.
You don't even know the point. You don't. Okay. Explain to me what I'm saying to you,
You trying to tell me that there was no need for people to first use the word economy. You and me both fucking know there wasn't no wholesale economy on pot. So, man, you don't gotta argue that.
That's my point. Okay, so if there was no wholesale economy on bodies, then you don't have markets. What I'm trying to say is Just listen real quick. I can clear this up real quick if you let me. What I'm about to tell you is simple. The Congo has a market because of the Arabs and the trans-Saharan slave trade. The Muslims have an influence and they need an influx of bodies. People that are outside the Congo know that they can go to the Congo to go get bodies. So they are capturing people. They don't have to go steal them. They don't have to go steal them in the Congo. They can go raid other places to do that. But they can go to Congo and get these people in this era because there's a market for it that was set up and created by the trans-Saharan slave trade.
Sean, we're talking about, go get that, Sean. Go get that right now. You go get that, and later that's what we're reading. Go get that, bro, and verify that. Go get the sword.
I just read it. I just read it on Masi. I just read it on the Masi. See, when I be giving you books to get, you do this every time. Every time.
Sean, what book did you read that from, Sean?
Okay. Are you familiar with the definition of razzies? Yes or no?
No, man, what's the book?
All right. Hugh Thomas slave trade, nigga. That's where you got to start at.
The what? Because you fucking it up, yo. You can't get
no,
me, nigga.
I'm not.
Can't get nobody.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I actually clearly... No, I'm going to tell you. There's 36 people listening, and I've clearly explained this to them, and they're answering the question.
Just like I'm not sitting around, just like you ain't sitting around listening to all shit, man. I want to sit around listening to all your shit.
You right. You never do.
I got a one-on-one right now. Give me that book and page. I'll
You already got the book. So why I'm finna give you the name of a book that I made you buy 2 years ago?
What book you made me buy?
You already bought it. The yellow book, bro. The big yellow book. Hugh Thomas book. The big yellow book. No, you didn't. You even said it on a live show. You said you got it. You said Sean kept reading. You had to go get the book. You gave me credit for it. Don't sit here and say that.
Well, I don't remember.
Yeah. You don't remember. Don't make me go on the. Don't make me. Nah, don't make me go. Don't make me go on Garfield and find it.
The Thomas book with the slave ships on it, right? It says slave.
Yes.
Yes. I gotta buy it again. I can't dig it out my shit. I can't. Yeah, I gotta dig that up. I don't feel like digging. That's a lot of digging. I don't feel like doing it. I just buy it again. You Thomas, hold on.
You know what? You already know the book because you already got it.
I got it.
What all I'm listen. No. Listen. Just listen to me. Yeah, Hugh, and then Thomas.
I got you. THOM. Got you. And it's called what? Slave Trade, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I got the motherfucking book, yo, but I can't dig it out. I'm buying it right now. What the page at? Where the page at, Sean?
It's in chapter 1. He defines what the razzies are. This is why I asked you, because this tactic was used in the Arab world and in Spain. It was used there. This tactic. That's why I asked, because they were already using this tactic. However, what I am trying to tell you is the trans-Saharan had an influence on bodies. To say that the trans-Saharan slave trade had no influence on bodies, this is the first known case for that stuff. The Arabs had hell of an influence, bro. They didn't have to be in certain areas. But if you know where to go get these bodies, you can go get them and bring them on through. Millions upon millions of Africans just didn't come from West Africa in the trans-Saharan slave market.
Man, that's all we talk about right now, Sean. You diving all over.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to. That's why I'm saying you're not listening to me, because I'm trying to show you where these markets exist and why they exist. I am saying the influence of Arabs and Europeans created these markets. Now, before the European, the Arabs had created markets. That is all I'm saying. I'm not trying to say that there was no, I ain't gonna never say that there was no African involvement. That's crazy.
Nah, explicit involvement. You know not to do that. That's retarded.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that at all. That's what I've been trying to say to you for the last time is that
You gotta tell me that. I know that's why I say that's a dumbass argument, because ain't nobody over here.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. So we ain't got to go down that road, bro. Like,
No. And I think that's where they messing up, because they thinking that, because when I listen to the videos and I go back and I listen to y'all arguing about stuff and slavery's never defined, that's one of the things, is that they are misunderstanding and misrepresenting what y'all have said. And then when Sutek goes in and asks for clarity, he can't get clarity because Chef would say, I don't know. And he said, well, hell, I don't know, because I don't even know what y'all talking about.
Yeah, because he ain't even arguing that point.
Right. So what I'm trying to say is that when Sheffrin is saying, but there was already slave markets before these people get there, and I'm like, okay, well, where the slave markets at? When he brought up the Canaan Barnu, that was Muslims. When he so when you're saying the Congo.
I know, but if you're asking you're Muslim, that don't change you.
No. Arabs was in the area at the time this was taking place. They were converting. It is the law. It is the law, Sharia, the law, that if they don't practice your religion, you have the right to enslave a person. That's all I've been saying. I'm not trying to muddy the water up. I'm trying to slow it down so we don't confuse the hell out of people.
You don't think motherfuckers experienced at this point? We didn't hash it all out.
Well, we probably gave more clarity to the conversation. Now the problem is why we generalizing in Zynga when
Yeah, that's the only thing I care about. The rest of that shit, y'all can have it. Cause I already know that's the super complex, out of control situation that I'm saying the Zynga, none of that shit. They got that all wrong. She ain't had to get the fuck out of here. That's my favorite person, yo. Like that's what I do. I already told both halves. I told y'all, I said, yo, I'm getting out the conversation of slavery and Africa because it's super complex and don't nobody want to hear it at the end of the day. I said, but the Nzinga, every time we mention her name, I'm diving in. That's what I say. So y'all can have that other shit. I'm diving in, yo. I'm diving in. Go to page 39, Sean. Tell me where I'm wrong at. 39, bro.
I am not gonna argue with you about you being wrong on something. I'm not saying that. We got the source. Why I'm gonna argue with you when I know when I can qualify the source?
All right, so you know what I'm about to read in the growth of slave trade. You know what you read that about markets. You just saying there's some markets outside ain't over.
No, I'm saying that I'm not saying that it's a market outside. I'm saying there was a need created from the trans-Saharan for bodies.
No, you're right. No, I'm trying to tell you that of course, bro, it wasn't no need to do all that. And you them bitches got in like it. But niggas try to make it seem that, then they wrong. You gonna just because I'm selling some weed, yo, and then y'all niggas come with the heroin and cocaine, you can't put me on the same level as y'all. Like there was no need. And when I came out, we had weed, we had markets with the weed within it. Y'all tell us put coke and dope in the market. Later on, 20 years later, niggas trying to say we were selling coke and dope in the market. I'm not agreeing with that, Sean. Sure that. That's crazy to me.
Right, but my argument in this whole thing is just this: is for when people say that there are slave markets and slave trades before the Arabs and the what I get stuck at is slave markets. Slavery.
It's just it's a market where they selling all kind of shit, and they got some criminals and some motherfucking prisoners of war that they trade. That's what I'm saying.
And I would now hold on. I almost agree with you. Now here's why I almost agree with you, because yes, there was people who broke the laws and people's customs and traditions. They went against the grain and they saw them as work. You know, they saw they needed to get rid of them, so they would exile those people. They were eligible. That is true. Right. So now we saying the same thing, because they exiled them people because there was no jails.
Right, and that's what certain niggas do. I don't see that deep because you're not bringing complete clarity to that. You're tripping right now.
No, man, I can't get involved in the noise.
Yeah, it's noise.
But when you if we're having a conversation and we're trying to build on a subject matter, then we got to have all the evidence in order to address the issue. Failure of having that information muddies the waters. And the only thing that I'm saying is we don't have a necessary market like that. And now remember, they just didn't exile those people. Some of them people they would kill.
Yeah.
They would kill. But when other people start having a need for them, then you see what I'm saying? When the Arabs created a need for, you ain't got to kill them, get them to me. I'll take them. Then they found some type of brokerage.
They say sentence to death, yo. They say in the book sentence to death.
Yep.
And he said, like, I got the whole thing, yo. You can't dive out there with some African Americans, some of the Africans, they slave markets. What Africans, nigga? That's my whole point. Who the fuck you talking about? What the fuck you talking about? Like, shut the fuck up. That's all I'm saying. Nigga, I read this shit too much, yo. To have niggas just dive out of nowhere. So then I was beat their ass up. On the other hand, y'all so crazy as hell mad. Y'all not.
Ain't nobody mad,
Yeah, until you start reading, then you slow it down. But come on, yo. We don't gotta protect no African kingdoms that was explicit. They ain't need no white people telling what to do. Yeah, you got a few kingdoms like the falls on them bitches. They was really Christians, nigga. They wasn't playing it. The diplomacy shit was out the door, and it turned on them, and it fucked up their whole yo. Them niggas is they some bullshit ass niggas right there, yo. They ain't getting the pass from me, not them. Not Alfonso on the boy. They built churches and needed more money, so you need to start wars with motherfuckers and take niggas' kingdoms. They were some wild ass niggas, yo. I don't fuck with them. You tripping? That's my point.
Nah, I'm not defending Alfonso either. All I'm trying to.
That's one person though. Then we can't make the whole continent of Africa based off of one nigga. That's some bullshit to me too. It's one nigga, bro.
That's true.
You can't make the Africans. No, nigga. African Americans don't sell drugs because of a couple niggas. African Americans are criminals. You can't say that. That's what they doing. That's what the Christians did. That's what I got into the conversation, Sean. What? African sold slaves. It's not true. They don't even understand it. I'm saying it's the same statement to say African Americans are criminals. That's not true. The fact is, there are certain African Americans that have picked up the life of criminality. That's all I was saying. That's what kicked the whole conversation off. They were saying, because I said that I was saying there was no African nation that, like, nigga, come on, man. That's what this whole argument is over. That statement right there, yo. The African soul slave. Nigga, I hate that statement, bro.
Yeah, I got you.
You feel me, right?
Yeah. No. I understand what you're defending. There's no point of that. I'm in agreements with you there.
And then you come in with that smooth, deadly shit, and you work it all out and bring points that niggas never heard they fucking life, and you make it clear, yo, on your channel. Fuck it. Use it up. Simple as that. On some subjects that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it, yo. Yeah, but them niggas don't hate Sean.
Nah, I ain't.
You just mad at them. You ain't really mad at them.
Mad.
But you got a chance to show niggas your command on the slave trade, though, yo. That's what we here for, yo. You needed that. Who the fuck else gonna do that? You did a good job. Yeah, yo, I be playing your shit while I'm riding the car.
Hey, you need to stop getting a Big Mac with no meat. That has to stop. Just don't go to McDonald's unless you're gonna get some fries, bro.
That's my favorite shit though, y'all ain't gonna lie, yo. My favorite, yo. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, in the history of the conscious community, nobody knew the expertise of Queen and Zinga. Nobody. They just been talking. They was giving out the sign, Portguguese. They was just ain't nobody know her life. Ain't nobody understand her life. Ain't nobody understand her diplomacy. Ain't nobody understand the leadership she made. Ain't nobody understand none of that. They just was talking to them. Trust me.
Got you.
Yeah. All right, go ahead and work. I know you're at work, yo.
Yeah. I actually was live, but all right, I got it.
All right. You live now?
Yeah. I'm finna end it though, cause I do gotta work.
All right. Well, we was live the whole time?
We've been live the whole time.
Oh, man. All right. Well, hey, good motherfucking show then.
Yeah. Everybody laughing at you too.
Yeah, like I said, both of the sides crazy as hell, man. Come on, yo. Damn, man, I'm glad that was loud. I ain't even mad at it, yo. Crazy ass, y'all crazy, yo. Come on, man. Yeah, I don't fuck with the Congo, though, yo. Simple.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm fine on them. They like the dope dealers of the day, right? Just keep, need more money to buy more European goods, need more money to see that they was busted, yo. That group, nah, they owe us money, yo. Facts. Not a single, yo. All right, yo, and that, yo, it's all good, yo.
All right, man. I'll catch you later.
All right,
later. There y'all have it, man. Live is All get out, man. Me and argue up and down. We be saying the same thing, but arguing up and down. But no, not a point of contention was about the slave markets. But what I was trying to get Unc to see was that someone outside of the Congo created a necessary need for bodies. This is twice that it has happened in history. I'm not saying that the Portuguese had to be present for this to take place. The Muslims didn't have to be present in certain parts of Africa for it to take place. They just needed to have the influence on the people that could conduct these things and have them happen in a manner that would happen for them. So that's what it is ultimately when it comes down to it. Right, but Tarka, yeah. We on the same thing. We thinking the same thing. But what I'm just trying to get people to see overall is that when we really slow it down, is there really a market? If you take those people away and the need for those bodies away, is there really a market? No, there's not. But you did have people that were exiled people. And you did have people that would integrate into other people's culture or assimilate into other people's culture when they were exiled. So we have to look at the intricate parts. Remember, slavery in Africa is not like in America. It's not like in Europe. It's not like in the Arab world. So it's too many layers. So we have to go by the layers and peel back each layer to see when they say slave, it's a general word. What kind of slave? You got people that consider slaves that were free. You had people that was considered slaves that had limits to their abilities to do things in the land. Then you had people that were slaves that didn't do nothing but serve. Then you had debt. You had people that owed debt. You know what I'm saying? So when you break down it's so many different levels in their worldview all over the continent, you can't hone it in on one thing. You can't generalize it. And there's been a lot of generalization and a lack of definition. That's why when I did the earlier video regarding the definition of it, I tried to bring that out to people so that they could clearly understand what needed to transpire. But I argue with Unc sometimes because I ain't trying to listen to him and he ain't trying to listen to me. So we gonna argue because he think he right about something and I think I'm right about something. And then he don't understand. He's saying I don't understand his point. He ain't understanding my point. So we both going there, but I be understanding his point. I ain't arguing that. And then when he using the source that he's using, if I've already read the source and I'm already familiar with the information, I don't want to hear that. I ain't saying I want to hear that again. I'm just saying in general, like we can fix this thing. We can fix it at 11:30. Stick like that. I need to fix all my time. And then it just goes on from there because that's necessarily what happened. What was the end date? 9:30. So that's how we have it like that. And that's how we're gonna keep on keeping it. But we'll argue. But he just don't be wanting to listen. And he make me not want to listen to him. Cause I don't be want to hear it. I got a point. My point is if you just let me get my point off, you're gonna understand what I'm saying. Then you really ain't gonna have no disagreement because me and you gonna be saying the same thing. Straight up. 4:30 p.m. Save. So really at the end of the day, that's where we are with that. That's what we are with that, man. It's a lot of confusion. You slow it down. We get to where we're trying to get to. End of the day. But y'all heard it here first. Like the show, share the show, tell a friend, man. I hope y'all enjoy that little bill. But we have a lot of outside influences to thank for that. But we also have internal influences that we have to correct as well, because of their involvement. But at what level? You see what I'm saying? Do we actually hold people at certain standards to certain things? Like if we want to blame the whole continent for what happened to us, what good is that going to do? What do we get from it? We can't blame people. There was a whole market created, a global market created for the enslavement of Africans. So of course you're gonna get African involvement, especially when their kingdoms and economy depended on the need to interact in that global economy. Like every last one of us, we got jobs and we work and things like that. Even if you own your own business, you work. So when you do those things, you kind of deal with it, from the aspects of how did we get here? So we got here because there was two different slave trades on the continent of Africa, the trans-Saharan and the transatlantic. That's how we got here. But we also get here because Africans were tribal people. There was always conflict between tribes. That's another disdain. But the way that they define slavery in context for themselves is different than everyone else's in the world and how things transpired. Now, early in its earliest onset, Africans didn't know of any involvement of what took place with the people that they were sending elsewhere, because they looked at it as from their worldview. They looked at things with their own eyesight. Okay, they need these people. We don't need them no more. They criminals. They're exiled. These people did all these different things. People cheated on their husbands and wives, all kind of whatever. If the wife cheated on the man, she was exiled. It's wrong, but that's what happened. But they did all of those things, and then to come find out, on down the line, 100 years later, you deep in your economy is slave based off the rip. You find out what's actually happening to these people, and then you try to stop. So now you become a resistor to what you recently have participated in, and you can't stop it. No, Anusha, when the Portuguese was shipping people across the seas on those ships, no, they didn't know what was happening to them. That is known in the earliest onset of the slave trade. But eventually they began to know what was happening to them. And some people stopped what they was doing. Other people continue what they was doing because their economies was based on those things. And we're talking hundreds of years involved in this thing. And once you know what's going on and you stopped and you began to fight against it, this is when you have more people resisting slavery and things of that nature. Just look at the British. The British was involved in the slave trade, but then they were the first people to want to abolish it because a new form of the industrial age coming to fruition, and they really don't necessarily need the bodies, but they wanted to be the first people to jump out the window and say they, you know what I'm saying? They were trying to do that. This is wrong. We even have accounts in the same book, I think, Hugh Thomas, where the Portuguese and other people later on in life, they would sit there. It's either in this book or another. I can't remember exactly. But they would come out and they would say, we've caused a grave concern. because this is around the time they're trying to abolish the slave trade and all of those things. And this is when you get the illegal slave trade era. And when you get the illegal slave trade era, you get behavior like that. Man, I'm so behind on my work right now. But look, y'all, I'm about to slide up out of there. And let me handle my business. I'll be back though. I might do a Zynga later today. I don't know. You know what I mean? I done did so much of it. And right now we're about to deal with a 60-year-old woman. And we finna deal with her. We finna deal with Nzinga in her 60s. You know what I mean? And basically we're giving you the historical record. All I've been doing is reading from the historical record and the actual the dominance were the actual sources that facilitated in Dr. Hayward's book. So those first six series, none but literally the text. And if we just start doing stuff like that, like if we can read as a group collectively together, I mean, it's just like it ain't nothing but a literature review. But for some of us who went a little bit further than that, we actually know where she's getting this information from. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Look, like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. Maybe they'll be live. They'll talk about something degrading on the continent of Africa, and it'd be what it be. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Remember to go copy a copy of what SARS-CoV-2 taught me from Same Tree, Different Branch. Buy directly from the source. Same Tree, Different Branch. And pick up your copy of Spearmasters. Same Tree, Different Branch. If you ain't got your copy, man, here go the link. Go get that. Go get it. But see, we ain't gotta cuss nobody out. Like, we ain't gotta just belittle them like that. I just think that part of what was going on in the conversation, that's where it becomes personal. So it becomes scholastically, for me, it becomes scholastically personal because I'm a bag up the legacy of Queen Nzinga. I'm gonna bag up the legacy of whoever if you're trying to attack them. And then if you don't have the historical or counter record, then hey, then you shorthanded. But most people ain't read into context the story on Queen Nzinga. We just only know the outside things. That's really it. Nobody has really tried to deal with her actual accounts. But now, since they wanted to bring it to fruition, it is what it is. Please navigate in Workday under continue learning. You'll find a course. All right, whatever. Okay, so look, I'm out of this thing, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Look, click on that link that I just dropped in the chat. Go pick up your copy of what SARS-CoV-2 taught me. I did a lot of research and work that went into that. Took a couple of years of going through this pandemic, and we got the book out. Support us. Every last one of us skipped our virology class today because of me, and I apologize for that. So it looked like we probably gonna have to deal with it ourselves, replay it. So I'm gonna have to make sure that we actually do that. If it ain't too late for some of us to get into it, we'll probably do that on Sunday or something like that. But I do appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. Like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. Make sure you pick up your copy of